Zelete, thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you all. The world is shifting. We are seeing a new balance of power that has been in the West for a very long time. But on May 20th, 2026, the direction of global politics took a major turn. In the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, the Russian President Vladimir Putin and the Chinese leader Xi Jinping signed a massive 47-page agreement. This isn't just a standard meeting, it is a plan to actively change how the world is run. To understand why this matters, we have to look past the ceremonies and the photos, the ping-pong ping. We are looking at a formal strategic effort to move the world away from the US-led system and towards what they call a multipolar model. And according to the recent developments, a core part of this plan is a new heavy focus on the African continent. Please subscribe and hit the notification and select all. For many decades, the world order has been led by Western institutions. These groups, from international banks to security alliances, have set the rules for money, laws, and global talk. But the agreement signed by Putin and Xi shows that Moscow and Beijing are no longer willing to work inside these old boundaries. Instead, they are building a new system. The joint declaration focuses on a comprehensive strategic coordination. This is not just a fancy phrase, it is a clear plan. By promising to work together, Russia and China are telling the developing world, especially in Africa, that there is a new choice outside the traditional Western model. The most important part of this recent summit was the clear focus on Africa. A joint statement from both leaders said they support the sovereignty and independent growth of African nations. They argue that the African region has huge potential for the 21st century. They went further, saying that true independence is the only way for the continent to modernize. Why does this matter? Because it frames their competition as a fight for freedom. The story told by Moscow and Beijing is that African nations have been held back by outside pressure and trade rules, a clear sweep at Western sanctions and debt deals. By claiming they respect sovereignty and do not interfere, Russia and China are aggressively selling their model to African leaders who want to find new partners.
To add, the signed declaration also underscores Russia and China's objection to the pressure put on nations to abandon neutrality. It says countries must be free to follow their own path and their preferred forms of global engagement.
It is unacceptable to force sovereign states to renounce neutrality. All states and their associations are free to choose foreign partners and models of international cooperation. Hegemony in the world is unacceptable and must be prohibited.
University of Johannesburg Professor of Politics and International Relations, Sifa Mandla Zondi. Professor, you're most welcome. What's your immediate reaction to the outcome, I suppose, of the Russia-China summit in Beijing?
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers as well. I think that the summit was consistent with what we have seen in the past in summits between the two countries. They have become closer and closer for three reasons. One is that geographically in the same space, they have to share Euro-Asia space. They have to find ways to coexist. They put major economies and major powers. The second reason is that they have a bit of interdependence in terms of economic reasons, especially in trade, in tech, and investment. So they have to find each other. And the third one is geopolitics. That they find themselves in the same corner. They find themselves having to deal with the same belligerent United States and Western Europe. There is that sees them as rivals. They've been pushed into the same corner. They have to survive the same onslaught. They have to survive the same big kicks of a dying horse. And for that reason, they have find themselves deepening their relationship ever more. That is why you see two kinds of agreements being signed. Ones are normal bilateral, elevated bilateral, but you see a big talk about the geopolitics and how they respond to the geopolitics. And that's consistent with what we've seen in the past as well.
Yeah, thanks for that overview. The joint statement by the Russian and Chinese leaders, sir, stresses the importance of a global system where every voice is considered and no state faces coercion. To what extent are those principles actually being followed in practice around the globe now?
Oh, yes, of course. The geopolitics don't just impact them, but they revolve around them. The whole Western strategy has been built around encircling them. The idea has been to isolate them by building circles around them, building strong relationships with countries around them. And it has been happening by expanding NATO eastwards and build stronger military relationship around Russia. It has been happening with the U.S. Military alliances in East Asia and Southeast Asia, again, building circles around them. So they both have faced the same kind of outlook in terms of geopolitical risks and threats that brings them closer and ever closer to one another. They can't avoid caucusing and discussing about how do they respond to what is also a coordinated move against them. The US and Europe are not always on good speaking terms, but they are united in how they should contain the rise of China and contain the second rise of Russia, because they see them as a threat to their dominance, but also because these are kind of more independent-minded, would not follow European or Western tutelage, which the Westerners have been so used to over the past 80 years. They've been used to calling the shots everywhere, and they just can't contend with the situation of countries that do not quite toe the line, that may actually be ripping apart what they stand for.
We must look at how the story is told. The African Initiative, a news group often seen in these diplomatic circles, has been busy spreading this message. They focus on the idea that Russia and China are the only true partners for Africans' growth, unlike the old powers of the West. However, many international groups, including the U.S. State Department, call this a high-level disinformation campaign. They argue that this strategy is meant to push pro-Russian and pro-Chinese ideas through local groups, making them look like they come from within Africa itself. Whether you agree with that view or not, the result is the same. The fight for the future of Africa is now a main event in world politics. Russia brings the security deals. China brings the building projects. And together, they offer a powerful story against the old system. The speed of Beijing's summit, where officials sign dozens of papers at once to save time, tells you exactly how urgent this is for Moscow and Beijing. They are not waiting around. They are working to lock in their partnership before the world changes even more. With the extension of their 2021 Friendship Treaty, these nations have secured a long-term plan to work together. They are not just reacting to Western moves. They are building their own systems. New ways to pay for goods without dollar. New security deals and new diplomatic blocks that can run without the West. We are entering a time of deep uncertainty. The idea of a multipolar world is very attractive to many nations that feel left behind by the current system. It offers a promise of choice and, for some, a shield against Western pressure. The Beijing Declaration is a bold move. It admits that the time of one single superpower is fading. In its place, we are seeing the rise of a new complex and potential divided world. The actions of Russia and China in Africa are just the start of a much bigger story about who will set the rules for the 21st century. As the world watches, the big question remains, are we heading towards a new, better, balanced world? This also gives us a shield as Africans. like our leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, to be able to take bold decisions against things that they know aren't favorable, like the uranium project that is happening in Niger, whereby France is bent on making sure they block Niger from even taking the uranium out of Niger to other places or to the world market, because they believe that it is a theft and the resources belong to them. While we know very well that the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso and Niger are saying that these resources are on the soil of Africa. And how do you call us theft when the resources are on our land? So this declaration also protects our leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso who are fighting for the total liberation of the African. This is the time for us all to also build ourselves, prepare ourselves, because the world that we have entered is full of uncertainties. We don't know what is going to happen the next day. But these leaders, these superpowers can see even 100 years ahead of us. And that is why they are locking up their treaty. Just coming all the way from Moscow to Beijing to sign 47-page declaration should tell you that there is something bigger that is happening that you and I do not have a clue. And for that matter, they need to make sure that they protect themselves. They protect themselves against any other thing. And that is why Africa will also need this kind of powers to build ourselves. Some people have the view that Africa, for now, we do not need anybody. We are trading one person to the other. But with the current situation of the African, we do not have the power to build ourselves if we do not form partnership with these leaders like Russia and China, as we are seeing the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso doing. Because these people, the system that is run now belongs to them, and they can use it to cripple you. In order for you to be free, you need to have another system that will protect you or be a shield. So this declaration is a perfect move for us, and we are going to see that it's going to protect the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, and it's also giving the opportunity to other leaders who want to be free from this old world that we are in. We are the only ones that can set ourselves free. United we stand, divided we fall, and united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world, in China and in Russia.